Hello and welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jack Duxbury, he's Tay Tay. And in this video we're going to be checking out the brand new YC88 from Yamaha and talking a bit about how it compares to the Nord Stage 3 and the Korg SV2, as I'm thinking you guys might want to know the differences. There you go, that's what they sound like on the first patch. I just thought you should hear what it's like. If you bought these and you turned it onto the first patch, that's what they sound like. Let's start talking about the YC88. Firstly, it's all the same gubbins in the brain as the other YC61 keyboard that I've done lots of videos on, so check those links below or on the channel. And I shot those out against the Nord and the Korg before this. So I don't want to run over too much of that, mainly talk about the physical differences between the keyboards. And that's the big difference, right? 88 keys, and this action sets it apart, I would say, from the other two, which is it has a natural graded wood hammer action, they're calling it. And Tay Tay, I'm sure, will do some beautiful sweeps that you can see this synthetic ebony, it looks like, finish gives it a little bit of striation and texture to the top of the key. There's also, you can see that it's made out of wood. On the other two, you can see they're plastic. Forgive me, I don't have the 88 key version of the Stage 3 to really compare the actions or tell you about it, but I've played it enough from memory that I'd say that this definitely has taken the lead in terms of realism. Triple sensor action in there. It just feels really great for that immersion. If you wanted the most realistic acoustic piano playing experience out of these keyboards, I'd definitely go for this one. Little bit of Rhodes there. That's the first Rhodes patch I found on each of these keyboards. Love that about the Nord, that I heard a little bit of swirly swirl going on there, and there's a button I can quickly turn that off. But that's largely why you're looking into one of these keyboards, right? Workstation keyboards for years, like the Kronos and Motifs, all of those things, all of the sounds are in there, but often with a sequencer and a screen that accompanies with it. The reason why I put these all together is that I think you're the type of person intrigued by having knob per function predominantly, clunky switches, and also that aesthetic of like a vintage inspired keyboard. That was the electric pianos. They all have great electric piano sounds, and the acoustic sounds, it's debatable. I will say that the Nord Stage, you have that ability to load in samples from their website, so it seems that extra bit of price on the piano side of things, you've got, I would argue, more choice necessary more quality, I don't know, it's up to you. Check the other videos and we'll hopefully get Mike along to do some shootouts. I'm sure we'll be including this in shootouts in the future. Right, let's talk about the hardware differences. Okay, so the YC88, 18.5 kilograms, SV2 17.2 kilograms, and the 88 key version of this is 19 kilograms. So wooden action, but still making it at the weight with solid metal construction. Really, really dig it. What I also dig, and I think sets it apart, is we've got proper XLR outputs on the back. We also have 1/4 inch stereo inputs with an individual gain control for mixing in external sources. On here we have an auxiliary input on a little headphone jack, which was good for silent practice or if you wanted to check a song on a gig. No such thing here on the Korg. The Korg really sits behind it in terms of connectivity, but this does again have the XLR outputs on the back, so that's a win for the Korg. One thing that sets this apart, and it's the new product, new kid on town, is that we have this on the back, which is the USB to device, which means that you can have a USB stick that you plumb in the back and update it with all your sounds. Oh, goodness me, would I have dreamt for that on the road with the Nord. The Nord, you have to update using their software, and not just update, I mean, if you're on a gig or you're going to church and they've got a keyboard there and you want to put your sounds in it, you have to take your laptop along to do it with this. USB stick on this, every day, that's what I want for the win. Korg, same thing. And I will say that a lot of the functions of the Korg, as I've spent more time with it, they're there, but you have to use with the editor. Things like layering and MIDI assignments are all done on the computer, but that's one of its strengths, right? Is that we've got no screen. So if you're a guy that's like, I don't want a screen, that turns me off, then the Korg is for you. Let's talk a little bit more about the organ side of things. Little bit of organ on both, and this is one of the big selling points for me on the YC88 that I haven't seen anyone really talk about yet, which is the fact that on the 88 key chassis that is new to us, I've got physical drawbars. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. On the Nord, I get the 88 key version and no physical drawbars. The only way I get that is on the 61 key version. And that's a huge difference. And I also, the more and more I come to these YC drawbars, I love the fact they've got the LEDs and the physical drawbars. Now, I always was a big fan of the LEDs on here, because if I change preset, like there, oh, I can see where I am straight away. Before, if I had physical controllers, I don't know where I am. Yamaha were like, we're just gonna shoot you out the sky, Nord, and we're gonna have the LEDs with the physical control. So really, really cool. Bless the Korg over here. It doesn't really even get to the party when it comes to organ, but that might not be a big thing for you. Where I think it has its strengths is mainly in the way it looks, also in some of the sounds. Like, for example, I'll show you, if we go to the other section here, let's just see what we got. Can I have a key, please?
D sharp.
Oh, he knows it. Bit of Russian roulette there. You're seeing as well a little feature which I had a split and layered sound there. On the Korg, I can't see that with the interface that it's given me. Also, to edit it, there's like some weird things you do with the EQ, as I remember, where you kind of click it in. But if you've got an editor in front of you, say this is at home in the studio, or you like preparing your sounds before you go out on stage, all that can be done really easily in the editor. On these two, they're competing, right, because they're really good at splitting and layering. So I'm just going to find a split and layered sound on all of them, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Little bit of a layered 80s kind of patch that I found on all three of these, and they do it in different ways. I won't go too into it. Obviously there's individual videos on each one of these, but it's a big differentiating factor between the three, which is that how much control do you have over the sound engines. You're probably wanting to, if you're buying this, you want to split, you want to layer, you want to combine things together. And that's where I think the Korg, again, it just has to be with the editor to even, if I was in a rehearsal working or just developing sounds, I'd have to have that editor on. On the YC, it's cool because I can see which panel I'm on, A and B. I've got L and R buttons for left and right. There's little monikers here on the screen that show me where the stage 3, I think, is on another planet, which is that each of these sections here, organ, piano, synth, I can see my levels of each section. I can see also I have 4 keyboard zones instead of just left and right, and the LEDs light up corresponding to where I've got the splits and the layers. I can see everything at once, and that 2-panel architecture of it is very powerful on these two. So that means that you're almost thinking you've got 2 of every sound engine and an invisible top keyboard. That brings us to another thing. Both on these 2 keyboards you can attach an external MIDI controller, and it essentially extends the keyboard playing area, and you can put panel B or panel A onto that controller. So you could play dual manual organ on both of these. And I did that a lot on the Nord stage. I could put a synth engine over on the top right hand corner of a MIDI controller. So you may be thinking, I spent a lot of money there, but if you've got any old MIDI controller knocking about, you're buying 2 keyboards worth of sound with both of these. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Maybe I'll do another video on it in the future. Other things is pitch bend and mod. All right, so let me just give you an example. Tiny intro into wheel sticks and modulations and things like that. They're very different. On the Korg, that was a nice pad sound, but I don't have a pitch bend manipulator or a modulation wheel, which I think is a big consideration. Again, there's a guy going, I never use that stuff. Hey, buy the Korg. Buy the Korg. And the S version with the speakers in is something completely unique, and I thoroughly recommend to a lot of people. So if we whack that little S version in there and a self-contained, almost, I've got a friend who's selling a Wurlitzer, believe it or not, because he's going to buy the one with the speakers because it represents a lot more in the corner of his room, self-contained with loads of sound. On the Nord, pitch bend and mod, and I love this, the wooden lever. I love the angle of it. It's really lovely to play. Cool on the YC88, but they've done something a little bit weird. This makes sense, but like, I'm a big left to right guy, or traditional up and down. Yamaha, you'd often get the wheel that was vertical. This goes off at an angle, so it's a different gesture, but still it's there, and it's really neat, and I can't see those breaking. Nice and robust. Anyway, just a little bit on price as well. So this YC88 comes in between these two. We got the Nord Stage 3. Check the website for the price, but this is the most expensive, not by much, over the YC88. And then considerably cheaper is the SV2. So it might be a bit unfair to include this in the comparison, but we like a threesome, don't we?
Yeah.
We love it, a menage a trois. I would say that the same things that we were talking about with the Electro and the YC61, the YC61 represented, I think, a great bit of value over the Nord Electro in that arena. Is this action enough to dethrone the Nord Stage 3 when they're pretty similar in price? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments. If you're lucky enough to go feel one and you're a big action guy and you love acoustic piano primarily, I think that you'll love this, and I think that it's well worth checking out instead of the Nord Stage 3. If you're a sound guy and you are looking to do complex gigs and maybe like a studio centerpiece keyboard, I'm still going to go for the Nord Stage 3. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me today. If you like what we're doing, consider subscribing. If you don't, let us know in the comments. And any ideas you've got for videos, throw them in there. We're listening and we really appreciate it. I'm going to play you out. And thanks, Tay-Tay, for hanging around. I'm going to go get a Subway. Love you guys.